On this episode of Global Topic, I'll have a conversation with Jeremy Redig, owner of Floor Rescue, which is based in Dallas, Texas. Jeremy and I will have a conversation on the topic of artistic epoxy solutions for concrete flooring. Welcome to Global Topic, the go-to series for the global corrosion and protective coatings industries, exclusively here on YouTube. In this series, you'll find technical content, information, and the latest industry news and events. And now for our interview. Hey, Jeremy, welcome to Global Topic.
Hey, Jim, good morning.
Hey, for the viewers of the episode, if you could go through, talk about your professional background, and if you could give a brief overview of what Floor Rescue does.
Well, we started in 2004. I worked under there was only a handful of companies in Dallas doing stained concrete in the mid 90s and early 2000s. So I worked for a mom pop outfit for a year, and that's how I got my start. And then in a desire to learn more about polishing and all the decorative concrete had to offer, including epoxies and metallics and overlays, is how Floor Rescue began, which was in 2005.
Oh, okay. So, Jeremy, let me first say that I've been absolutely impressed with the stunning artistic floor systems that you design and then you create for your clients. And many might not think that concrete flooring can be a work of art. So let me ask you, where might people find artistic floor systems such as epoxies and the metallics?
Today, epoxies have been around for a very long time. They're better known for industrial spaces, warehouses, garages. But when you get into the artistic side, which is how decorative concrete really got its beginning, it's actually been around a long time, concrete being the surface that it is and used everywhere. But specifically with epoxy, it being a coating, it has a different level of toughness, chemical resistance, and abrasion resistance, which is why it was used in all the industrial settings. But when you incorporate the artistic side into it, it opens up the door to be used basically anywhere. And so you see it inside homes, as you've seen in some of my videos, retail areas, and people are understanding more and more as, people are seeing it and are educated as to the durability of it. It's it's just, that's, off the beaten path of floor coverings or just a regular concrete floor. Metallics are definitely meeting that need and meeting that curiosity of the consumer. And so we love them. I have them in my home. I have them in my shop. I had them in a gym that we had co-owned a couple years ago. And along with polished concrete, those are my two favorite floors. So I hope to do, a lot more of them. But yeah, they can go anywhere these days due to the durability of the epoxy and the top coat, which I didn't mention. You have polyaspartic top coats, and you have urethanes and polyureas, which are really strong, durable, fast setting, fast curing. So there's quick turnarounds. Construction's always go, 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 and people don't want to have any downtime. So that's also a major benefit to using, a top coat that cures out fast. So hope that answers your question.
Definitely. And for me, the most impressive artistic flooring is metallics for me. When it comes to installing a system like metallics for you, what technical knowledge do you need to have of the products?
Well, and that is a good question because, my first one was a dive bomb, and thank God with concrete. And I tell this, even, with a name like Floor Rescue, I get a lot of calls and go behind a lot of different, projects that have had challenges or struggles and may not have turned out quite like somebody wanted. But I always tell them that the one good thing about concrete is you can redo it, with very few exceptions. But So with metallics, you know, learning the chemical side is obviously probably the most important thing. You know, it is a two component. There is a pot life. The pot life is the amount of time that the product basically gives you to be in a workable state where you can move it around on the floor and do what you're going to do to spread it out and the flow of the product. You know, there's a lot of different products out there today, and so learning that. And when you're venturing into this, it's always good to start with some smaller jobs. I'd even say start on something like your own place, your own shop, maybe, some practice spot where there's not any risks or where you're not going to, harm a client or harm, potential project or something. But learning the chemical side of epoxies is super important. Most of them are xylene based, which is a pretty toxic chemical. And just really, studying the data sheet that's, the MSDS or the data sheet that's provided with the material to learn what they recommend on the install, what they recommend on, just all the different parameters there. Another thing to always consider is, the jobs that go smoothly are when you have a team of people who understand their role and what's going on there. And that takes time to build. Experience is always, key in this deal. So
you're based in a prime metro area, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. How much downtime or business interruption might a commercial or retail client expect when they're looking to install an artistic floor?
Well, specifically on metallics, epoxies, there are some fast cure epoxies, and we typically put the metallics in the clear. It's a clear epoxy, and you mix your different pigments in your clear before you put in your catalyst, which is your B. And because once you mix them, then your time starts. That's your pot life to put the product down. But typical epoxies are a 7-day full cure. That's kind of the norm or the standard. I know there's exceptions. There's going to be some, like I said, some fast cure systems. There's going to be some that may even take longer depending on, conditions, especially, weather and climate controlled areas. I have never put metallics in polyaspartics, which is the fast setting clear that I was telling you about earlier that we're using for top coats. And so as of right now, generally speaking, most of us are all doing metallics in clear epoxy. And that's generally a 3 to 7 day cure time. The top coat isn't as much if you do a polyaspartic, but the epoxy itself, though you can walk on it the next day, you can't put heavy equipment or heavy machinery on it. So that's the one drawback that I know of currently. I haven't ran into that in a retail or most of my jobs in the last several years have been a place where that's not been an issue. So, if I were to get a job that were a concern, I would be on the phone with my, reps and manufacturers and finding out what's the best product to speed up that process as much as possible without compromising the integrity of the product or the install. So we're on a mostly nights and weekends is when you see us floor guys doing stuff when you're in the commercial retail side, if there's not enough time allotted for these, decorative floors or these artistic.
So I'm recording you right now. You're safely.
Did that answer your question, Jim?
Oh, definitely. So I'm recording you now, and you're safely traveling to a job site for a client. And when it comes to hiring a professional like yourself, what should the client look for when contracting or hiring a floor systems provider?
Well, I mentioned earlier experience. Having been at this a long time, there's so many blind spots early on that you have no clue as to what they are and what to look for. I mean, you can do your due diligence, like I said, in studying your products. A lot of decorative concrete supply houses and vendors offer training today, and it gets your feet wet a little bit. But when you're out in the field, you're always going to be dealing with a whole nother level of challenges and problems that can hurt you. So as an installer, if I want to be a good installer, and be a good businessman, and we are providing a service. If I'm serving my clients, then my heart should be to try to protect them. And the better I understand all the ins and outs of what's involved and what I'm installing and what risks are out there as I'm installing, there's a lot of things you can't avoid, but there's a lot of things you can do to protect your install and your client so that, a lot of things can be avoided. And it takes time. It takes a lot of effort. But, every job has its own, what I call the degree of difficulty factor. And so it's always considering all those things. But as far as when people are looking for someone, an experienced installer and someone who's not biased. Unfortunately, in our industry, the bias comes in when someone's not either skilled or experienced in a certain system. So they'll push them in a different direction, saying that's all they can have or that's all that can be done, which is not true. And so instead of, them, going and getting some education and some training and some experience in that arena, they turn people off to the whole idea. And so that's key. We offer people just consultation. I'm not going to be able to do every job. I'm not going to be able to win every job, but I sure like people to be able to see and have the opportunity to choose what the best system for what they're wanting or for their environment or what have you. Unfortunately, in our industry as well, in plumbing and electricians and plumbing, you have to have certifications, you have to have training, you have to be a journeyman, you have to have state licenses. And in our industry, that's not the case. And so that unfortunately really causes a lot of problems because, I think you can figure out why. You have a lot of people saying they can do something and are not formally really not able to do it at the level and the quality that it should be done. And so, references, that's always a good one. References, recent jobs, maybe even jobs that have been done 5 years ago. Like, and obviously, meeting the person and, getting several bids,
Yeah, it's definitely
common practices there.
Yeah, definitely a process for the client to make sure they're making the right decision. Jeremy, what great conversation we're having. In closing out this episode, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd want to leave with the viewers?
Yeah, back to what you were just saying, what you had just asked me about, when finding an installer, be careful with the least expensive person. Sometimes you can find a legitimate install for a competitive price, but more times than not, there's a reason why the cheapest, I hate using the word cheap, but the most inexpensive bid is what it is. And so I would do due diligence on, what the products are going to be used, and references. But anything we didn't cover is really just, do some shopping, do some online research as well. I basically try to point people in 3 different directions when choosing a system. It's, what's your budget? What current conditions do you have now and challenges you have now? And what do you want it to look like? Find what will be nice in your home, your business, your shop, your warehouse, your garage, whatever it may be. And then we start there. And, I always look for an experienced installer if you're venturing out into something where, especially like a metallic epoxy, there's a lot at stake and a lot on the line with those. There's a lot of material cost, and the cleanup and the redo is even more expensive. So when those don't go well, to have somebody like myself or another professional come in there and redo it is actually going to be more expensive than to have done it right in the first place, which that goes with just about anything. But No, other than look us up, Floor Rescue, put a little plug in for us. Our hashtag is Trust in the Rescue. And, follow us on social media as well. We love to just be informative and educational, have some fun while we're out there in the field doing what we do. And hope that it helps other contractors as well. We do want to help the new guys, the young guys that are in this and gals that are learning and growing in our skill and our trade and our industry. We want to help others be successful as well. So that's pretty much it, Jim.
I thank you very much. And for the viewers, I will put links in the video description to Floor Rescue's site. Also, the LinkedIn profile for Jeremy, if you want to connect with him professionally. And, Jeremy is a very good resource for information related to artistic work related to floor installation systems and everything. So, Jeremy, I greatly appreciate this opportunity to have a conversation with you today.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it as well, and appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you.
No problem. Have a safe day.
All right. You do the same, Jim. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Please like and share this video. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. It's easy. All you need is a Gmail or Google account and hit the subscribe icon. And remember to set the notification bell to all so that you won't miss any of my new content.